Hi everyone, I'm Ian Hogg, CEO of Shopworks, and welcome to the Workforce Management Podcast. Our guest today is our own Ben Nakimovitch, who's our Head of Customer Success. And today what I want to talk about with Ben is how do we get people to engage with our workforce management platform once we've got it rolled out and implemented. So let's just paint you a scenario. You've done your business case, you've persuaded management to back you and invest in workforce management. You've implemented it, you've rolled it out, you've done a pilot, okay, and now you've got it working and live in a number of locations, let's say 50 locations. But how do you make sure that the people in those locations are using it effectively and you're getting the best value for money from the system you've bought? That's what I want to discuss today. Hi, Ben.
Hey, Ian.
Hi. Listen, why don't we start with a sort of why question? So why is engagement the key factor here? Why is it important to get your engagement up to get your ROI?
Yeah, of course. I mean, what is important? I mean, I'd say it's just vital. I often say to businesses that systems, workforce management system, system in general, but workforce management system in particular, are just tools. So they're here to allow stakeholders and business leaders to make the best informed decisions. But if you don't have the engagement, they won't use those tools and they won't be able to make those decisions and bring ROI to the business. So engagement is absolutely vital. When we look into the details and the sort of ROI that you can secure with engagement, probably the first one that comes to mind is, compliance, making sure that everyone within your business is 100% compliant with, the Working Time Directive, the law to start with, but it might be your internal business's rules as well. So, having the engagement and making sure that everyone is recording the information correctly onto the system will allow you to monitor the compliance. You need to make sure that your managers, update the system. I've said that already, and enter the data, and of course it will also allow you to monitor the performance. So if everyone is engaged using the system correctly, then you can start looking at how the business performance improves. So it is just vital to get the engagement and the system maintains.
So I suppose the opposite of that is if we haven't got engagement, then you've got gaps in your data. Is that what you would see?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the system is only as good as the users make it, really. So if you don't have the engagement, no data, or the data is not recorded as well as it should be. So it's absolutely vital to get engagement from your teams.
Okay, so I'm the boss. I've implemented this system, I've rolled it out to 100 stores or, some leisure centres. I've issued a memo that says you will clock in and clock out every day and you'll complete the timesheet or work log at the end of the day. What else is there to do? Why doesn't it work? Why doesn't everybody then use the system? Why?
Well, a new system is a change. It's a change of habits. It's a change of sometimes workload. It can be perceived as additional work instead of something that makes your life easier. And you need, like any change management, you need everyone on board. And to get everyone on board, you need to make sure that everyone is getting benefit out of it. If they don't see the benefit, then it's very easy to say, I don't have time, or I don't understand the system, or excuses are easier to find. You need it's a bit like you need a carrot. You need to make sure that everyone within the business can see the benefit. So it goes through things like clear communication, up-down communication, making sure that the ROI and success criteria are clearly defined from the start, and that everyone knows why a system is being implemented. Is it to save time? Is it to save money? Is it to make sure that you've got enough staff at the right place at the right time? So for me, it's change management. You need to make sure that everyone is on board and aware of what the business is doing.
And why? Let's take it workforce management specific. So you could say change management for pretty much any system that somebody puts into place. Accounting package, EPOS, workforce management. So talk me through some of the specifics of why workforce management is particularly difficult for change, or is it?
I would argue that it's probably one of the most difficult system to implement within a business, and I don't only say that because it's the space where I operate, but it's also a feedback that we get from businesses all the time. It's because you've got such a large, it's a broad range of users. So you would have your head office stakeholders that would have a broad vision of the business, and it goes all the way down to the manager of a local shop that will have a different vision of the business. So many users, many perception of the system, and I often use the term perception when I pass the feedback to our product team, for example, because it's not just about the system; it's about the way that people see it. Just to go back to your question, it's just the engagement is about making sure that you don't leave anyone behind. You need to make sure that your staff would clock in and out. So you've got data, so they need to see why they need to do that. It could be to ensure that they're getting paid. Because without a TNA system or workforce management system, you might end up with people that turn up, and if it's not recorded manually, then they don't get it. They don't end up being paid. It's about making sure that everyone understands the benefits and use all the tools that the workforce management system offers.
Okay. And so I suppose in summary what you're saying with all of the different stakeholders, there's just lots of processes that need changing, presumably, when you put workforce management in. Is it a few, or is it dozens? Is it hundreds?
Well, the key is to make sure that the system provides or generates the best ROI with minimum disruptions.
Okay. I mean, coming on to ROI, a lot of people, when they're rolling out a workforce management platform, they'll do a pilot of some sort. So, if you've got 100 stores, you'll test it, trial it, pilot it in 10 stores. And the reason people do that is so they measure the ROI in those 10 stores, and then they say, fine, we know we can save 3% of labour and, increase sales by 2%. Whatever it is that they come out with their metrics. Why, I've heard this from a lot of customers as well. They go from the pilot, they go to the rollout, they don't quite achieve those same ROI metrics. Why do you think that is?
Well, at the start of a system implementation project, there's a lot of resources being thrown at it. And a common mistake let's call it a mistake that businesses can do is thinking that once the system is implemented, they will throw as much resources as possible during implementation, and then the system will run itself. And there's no need of keep on training users or keep on selling and communicating the benefits to users. And all the extra support and resources that is thrown at that system at implementation stage will stop. It's important, and that's what customer success is all about as well, is just to make sure that the effort and the care that the system needs keeps on going after implementation. Of course, as I said previously, the goal is to provide maximum ROI with minimum disruption, and that's true once the system is implemented. So I'm not saying that systems will have to throw a lot of resources to the system, but it's about finding that right balance. If there's no care given to the system after implementation, then ROI will just drop. Simple as that. And that's my job in customer success, to make sure that ROI is measured, and then to just ring the alarm bell if I see that there's no the ROI is dropping because of X or Y reason, and identify that reason and work with the customer to address the problem. So it's a long-term project and a long-term relationship that is needed with the workforce management system.
Okay. So it sounds to me like one of your key ways to keep engagement up is actually measure the metrics, measure the ROI. That's that old phrase, what's not measured isn't managed. I think that's it.
Yeah.
So that sounds like quite high up your list. Give me sort of top 5, top 10, other sort of tips for improving engagement once I've got this platform rolled out.
Measuring is it's top one. It's up there. It's the best way to know if you're getting the value. Top 10 will be challenging, so I'll go for a top 3.
Yeah, go for it.
Measuring is very important. It's about communication as well. So you need to have a clear communication channels throughout the business when a change happens, whether that's a system change or an internal change that would impact the system, a new rules that is implemented or a new way or new process. You need that clear communication channel. And then it's continuous training, whether that's face-to-face, old-fashioned training or more modern content that is created. Could be a podcast. It could be a video. It could be, all sort of things that are possible now. But you need to make sure that you've got that, not only the communication I'll do a top 4, sorry, and I forgot that point. You need to make sure that, it's a mandatory process.
Like compulsory.
Compulsory. So I spoke a lot about the carrot because, that's very important, making sure people see benefits in their train, etc. But that last point, compulsory, I would say it's probably top 2 just after, monitoring. Actually, it's just to make sure that that's the process. Don't leave too much room for interpretation. And, that's the process. That's what users need to follow and on board. On some workforce management system, you've got clear-cut processes whereby, if you don't confirm your hours or clock in, clock out, then you don't get paid. Simple as that. It could be seen as extreme. And, of course, that's last resort. But we've had scenarios where businesses have been struggling for months, and then from the moment they implement that, everyone suddenly remembers to clock in, clock out. You need to make sure you're clear on the importance and the fact that it's compulsory to use the system. Okay.
Yeah, I get that. That's sort of carrot and stick. The carrot is you get paid. The stick is you don't get paid.
Exactly. And it's balance. You need to find the right balance. Carrot and stick, it's true for workforce management, and it's true for anything that, we do in life and in business. I guess, finding the right balance is important.
Okay, so let's go back to my scenario again. So I've rolled this system out. Okay, workforce management. I'm in 100 stores, and I'm measuring my KPIs. The software vendor, they've done the implementation, the contract signed, they've got their money, they're billing me every month, and they've disappeared off to the next customer. What should I expect from my software vendor? What does good look like in terms of customer success support?
Well, it's a very interesting question, workforce management solution come in many forms. Some vendors would be, a self-service platform that you just sign a contract and then it's you're fully self-service. You don't really have engagement from customer success or an account manager or anyone from that vendor. And then it's off the shelf and it's yours. You do what you want with it. And then you've got other vendors that which is perhaps, this is more the Shopworks approach for that matter, which is high touch support and highly configurable system. And then you've got a customer success that is here available for you, and just make sure that you make the most out of the platform. So it depends on the vendor you choose, and that discussion and that finding out about this approach from the vendor should 100% be part of your the process that you go through when you choose a vendor. But as a minimum, I would say that what good looks like is a decent self-service resources when it comes to training and documentation of how to use the platform from basic tasks and basic settings. you know, some sort of FAQs, where, you know, there's a knowledge share. So, you know, issues or problems that, or challenges that can come up with or common challenges that can come up with the platform. And then, you know, the answer is shared across the customers community. And then, yeah, just a way of raising issue, and that's dealt with in a timely manner. So that's what goods look like. And then, you know, typically large projects with vendors such as Shopworks that, you know, is high touch, will come with a dedicated customer success manager. And you know, that customer success will make sure that you've got KPIs in place to measure ROI, and will just you know, keep on staying with you for the length of the relationship, making sure that the business gets the most of it and hits the KPIs.
So it sounds, listen, good answer, Ben. It sounds to me like it's a level of complexity of the customer. So if I'm a small, fairly simple organisation, I could probably just get one of these self-service tools. If I'm, I don't know, you know, Tesco's, I probably need a big enterprise level system, and I need a customer success team to support me.
Yeah.
Let's go somewhere in the middle. You know, let's say one of your typical customers. What sort of, you know, talk me through how often you speak to these people, your customers, and, you know, how often you visit. Talk me through your cycle of communication with them.
Again, you know, every business is different. It's about finding the right level of engagement. Some customers will heavily invest into their workforce management at some point in time, and therefore it's a weekly conversation, it's weekly catch up, high engagement. Other customers might have other priorities, so therefore Shopworks or, you know, the workforce management solution is on the back burner for a little while, and then you just need to make sure you check in and keep monitoring, and if there is something that comes up, you raise the issue, you update them on new features or solution that the workforce management can provide. So I would say, like, you know, in general, it's probably a bi-weekly conversation. It doesn't have to be long, you know. And then, you know, in terms of customer visits, I try to make it once or twice a year, just at least to make sure they're aware of everything that we've been developing, all the new feature and all the new services that we can offer to help them make the most of the system. So it's about maintaining that relationship and make sure that the communication stays alive.
Okay. It almost sounds to me like there's another one to add to your top 5, which is how often do you speak to your vendor customer success manager? So the more you speak to your customer success manager, the better your engagement.
Yeah.
Is there a correlation there?
There is, yeah. No, it sounds like we'll get to the top 10 if we keep going and do that podcast. But yeah, that's definitely part. Yeah, that would be part of it. Yeah. How often you speak to your I mean, I'm in customer success, so of course I would argue that, you know, it's vital to speak to your customer success manager, because that person is almost your advocate on the vendor's side, the person that understands your challenges and your problem, and then can make things happen on the system. So it is important. Make sure that, of course, the vendors will make sure that they engage with you, but make sure you engage with your vendor. That's equally important, because there might be some challenges or frustration that you've got with the system, and it might just be like the solution might just be a conversation away of your customer success or whoever you speak to at your vendor's side that will say, oh, actually, it's just a switch, let me change it, and problem solved. I mean, I've got that conversation dozens of times every week. So yeah, keep the engagement going with your vendor.
Excellent. Ben, thank you very much. I think I understand you've written a blog on this subject, where I think you go into some more details with some more tips on how to increase engagement. So I'd encourage listeners to, you know, click the link in the podcast notes and go and read that. And if they've got any more questions, they can get in touch with you via LinkedIn or email.
Absolutely.
And the details are in there. Thank you very much.